Welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer, Tucker Sennett. And today I will be laying out the path for NC State men's basketball, making a run through this ACC tournament. They'll play their first game on Wednesday. They'll get the winner of a matchup between the 15 seed Pitt, a team that NC State already beat, and the 10 seed Stanford. Now, there was a lot of talk going into the season, during the season, about NC State earning a top four tournament seed. That didn't come to be. The Wolfpack ends up having that really rough stretch down through the final 3 weeks of the season, losing 6 of 7 games. So, things didn't end the way that I think Will Wade wanted them to, and obviously a lot of the fan base wanted. But this team still has time to improve the resume and salvage a season from being considered sort of a not a failure, but more of a disappointment overall. That starts on Wednesday. And NC State has made a run through this tournament before. It happened 2 years ago when Kevin Keatts led the Wolfpack through. They won 5 games in 5 days, a remarkable run through the ACC tournament in Washington, D.C. This year they're in Charlotte, so a little closer to home. And, there's precedent for it. Jordan Snell is still on the team, not a contributor per se, but he knows what it takes. And he said it's already easier this time because they're playing on Wednesday and not Tuesday. So it all starts on Wednesday. You're more than likely going to get another crack at a Stanford team that just beat you if you're NC State. So, it all starts right there. Then, if you find a way to win that game, you're going to have to play a team that's kind of beating your brakes off all season in Virginia. The 15-point loss at home, that was much worse than a 15-point loss. And then the 29-point loss in Charlottesville. Will Wade said, if they played Virginia 9 or 10 times in a season, they'd only beat them once this year. He's going to have to put that hypothesis to the test in this game if NC State can find a way to win in that second round game. And you know, do I think it's possible? Yes, I do. I think anything's possible in March. Do I think it's likely that the Pack gets a win over Virginia? Probably not. I think this is kind of a nightmare matchup. It almost would have been better if NC State had been seeded, yeah, low. I don't want to say that. Never mind. I, Miami really needed to win in that final game to get NC State up a couple of seed lines. They could have been as high as the 5 seed had some things gone right, and then they would have had a shot at North Carolina, sans Caleb Wilson in the quarterfinal. Instead, they're going to get Virginia if they beat the Stanford team that just beat them, and if they can't beat Stanford, there's way bigger problems. But losing to Virginia by a margin like they lost in Charlottesville would also be somewhat problematic because, that's a team that is a shoe-in for the NCAA tournament. And if that's the last taste that NC State leaves in the committee's mouth and there's some doubt or, you know, some action on the bubble that changes things, that could be really problematic. But for the sake of this exercise, we'll say NC State shocks the world. They beat Virginia. They would then play the winner of Miami and a three-team mix of SMU, Syracuse. The winner of that would play Louisville in the second round. So my guess would be the winner of Louisville and Miami. Louisville just beat Miami down there to finish the regular season and earn the 6 seed. And obviously push the Pack down a little bit on the seed line. So another two teams that have already beaten you, you're going to have to rewrite history if you're NC State here, and you're going to have to find a way to beat a Miami team that bludgeoned you on the glass down the stretch, that scored 7 points in that final minute to come back and win that game by 1 point in the Lenovo Center. but you were right there. And I think, the Wolfpack is more than capable of beating Miami. It just didn't happen in that moment. They just didn't have it on that day. And they might not have it at all. That just might be the nature of this team. But there's so much tournament pedigree in this group between a guy like Terrence Arsenal, who, wasn't a huge contributor on the Houston team, but he played in the national championship. He played through that run through the NCAA tournament for Houston. A guy like Van Allen Lubin, who's been to the tournament with North Carolina and has played years of college basketball. Darian Williams helped carry um, helped carry Texas Tech to the Elite Eight last season, and was on the cusp of playing in the Final Four. This team has experience, and that's what Will Wade's going to have to lean on here, for better or for worse. And if these guys aren't up for it, they're not up for it. And you chalk this up as a season that wasn't lost, but was certainly disappointing if you're Will Wade, and you move on. But let's say somehow they continue a magical run. They make it to the final. They would play Saturday. It would be their fourth game in as many days, and presumably it would be Duke on the other side of the bracket, unless Clemson or North Carolina can somehow get hot at the right time, or Cal or Florida State do the impossible and knock off Duke in that quarterfinal round. But presumably, if NC State would make that tournament final, it would be against Duke, a team that just showed you how far you are away from being on their level not long ago in Raleigh. And it's just it's less than ideal that would be the final matchup. If not, if something shocking were to happen, NC State would more than likely be playing a team that it already has beaten. It could be Clemson, it could be North Carolina, it could be a Florida State if they find some serious magic. And as we know, with State being the example, stranger things have happened in this tournament. Teams get hot at the right time. It's not impossible. And the Wolfpack would obviously like to be that team this year, but it's a different team. The size is a major issue. The rebounding is a major issue. The streaky shooting is a major issue. There's warts, and Will Wade was really upfront about that after the Stanford loss. But this is also a team that won 6 games in a row in the middle of the conference season. It's a team that came up painfully short in a couple of games that would have really flipped the script on the season overall. Let's say that shot at the end of the Kansas game falls, and Darian Williams is kind of your hero against one of his old Big 12 rivals, or, you know, NC State's able to come back and fend off Georgia Tech, and then they're comfortably in the NCAA tournament field without a quad four loss. Or just there's been bounces of the ball that are wacky, and maybe that's the makeup of this team not being able to make those plays, or maybe it's just the basketball gods saying that it's not your year to NC State. And that very well could be the case. That happens to teams from time to time, and it's not unheard of. And it's a weird sport. It gives and takes. So all will be revealed in Charlotte. I will be down there for however long NC State makes a run through this tournament. Could be a quick trip, could be a lengthy trip. We'll see. But I will be there providing as much coverage as I possibly can. I'll be sure to have these podcast episodes up after games if possible. And as always, feel free to follow us on all of our social media channels. You can find me on X at Senate Tucker. You can find the website at Wolfpack on SI. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Sports Videos on SI YouTube channel, for more of these episodes, as well as coverage of press conferences, interviews, all of the above. Thanks, and we will see you next time.